this rolling here. I'll run the meeting. County Commissioner Jeff Reinert, got my alternate co-chair here, Matt Look. And let's see, we'll begin the Anoka County Blaine Airport Northwest Building Area Joint Powers Board. We'll begin by calling roll. Why don't we just go around and introduce ourselves?
All right, Joel McPherson. I'm the Anoka County Engineer and Transportation Division Manager. Jill?
I am Jill Kent. I am the admin here at the county highway department.
I'm Brian Franson in the County Attorney's Office in Anoka County. Philip Tiedemann, Airport Manager at the Anoka County Blaine Airport.
Brian Orr, General Manager at Atlantic Aviation at the Anoka Airport.
And as already introduced, Jeff Reinert, Anoka County Commissioner.
Matt Look, Anoka County Commissioner.
Why don't we catch everyone remote?
Yeah, Jim Deal, Commissioner with Max.
Rhonda Sivaraja, County Administrator.
Looks like we have two more.
Is that Michelle?
Yeah, Michelle, can you hear us okay?
Go ahead and respond. Michelle Wolf.
Yeah. I think you're on mute, Michelle. I'm gonna text her or jab her just see if she can.
Yeah, technology is great when it works.
Yeah,
We have a call-in user number 2.
that's Jim.
Well, that is Jim. Okay, and then we've got
And then Brenda, looks like another person just joined us. Brenda, can you introduce yourself?
I'm sorry, Brenda Litchback, Accounting Director in Finance and Central Services.
Thank you.
Thank you.
and we'll just put Michelle as present here. All right, we'll move to item number 3 then. That's approval of minutes from the November 3rd, 2020 Joint Powers Board meeting. And if there's any questions on the minutes, we'll hear those now. Otherwise, we'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Look. Is there a second? I'll second that. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? And that motion carries. Then we'll move to number 4, Fbo Operations update. Brian Orr.
Just real quick one there. The FBO used to be owned by Lynx Aviation, Lynx FBO network. Very fast transition just occurred. Atlantic Aviation bought all Lynx locations across the country, all 9 locations. That deal went through in under about 2 months. Atlantic, this is a good move for the airport. Atlantic Aviation is the country's oldest FBO network. They were started back in the 1920s. So I doubt there'll be another name change out there within our lifetimes. Atlantic brings, with the acquisition of the Lynx network, they also bought another one out west, Ross Aviation. That's going to get their network up to about 100 locations across the U.S. With that, they're out of Plano, Texas. They bring a lot of resources to us that we didn't previously have, being a smaller FBO chain. They're going to be pumping that in. Right now, they're already telling us to add bodies, raise some wages, and they're looking at some infrastructure things for us on a capital side to make changes out there and pump some money into it, which is already a fairly new and really good looking facility. So good things happening on that side of the house with it, and I expect more to come.
When did that happen? Just in the last couple months?
Yes, the official sale date was November 23rd, and we went live on December 1st.
Oh, yeah, very new.
Yeah, it was extremely quick. For the time we got our NDAs and given everything, that was probably less than 2 months.
So what do we hope to accomplish here as far as end game? Is it just more efficiency, better operation, growth of operation?
Growth. I mean, airport right now is pumping in about 600,000 gallons annually. At one time, they were doing about 1.4, 1.5. That airport really should be doing about 1.8, at least, at a minimum.
Okay.
So there's growth potential out there. So we've got ideas on the plate as far as pushing some agendas to try and help grow that. The Atlantic name should help partially with some of that, from getting transient traffic that is, gives them a foothold in the Twin Cities now they didn't have before. So we expect that to drive some more business traffic up this direction. They have a large marketing division behind them, and they have data on all 100 of their other locations. So they know every aircraft is flying across the country and where they're going to. So if there's anything passing through this direction, it's going to give them something now where they can start driving that traffic to their own location.
So better promotion, communication, marketing, all that comes with it. So,
Everything comes with a full team on that. So I expect to see an increase in traffic out there. They've already had me plus up on some bodies on the shifts with anticipation of that by the time we get through with training and get people moving. And this airport just poised where it is. I think I just got here 2 years ago, and at that time when I first came in here and met with the board, said, two things off the top of my head was changing the airport name and giving it a longer runway were two things that would help it grow. Runway's always still gonna be that's gonna be a dream. We're probably still gonna push it. It's gonna be a long-term thing, but the marketing's gonna really help drive some things right now. There's some short-term things that'll help out. So they bought this location with the anticipation that there is growth potential. They can see it too.
pretty ambitious, 300% increase. But it'll be fun to watch annually to see, where that ends up.
It can get there. And the infrastructure, everything's building. The infrastructure with the I-35 corridor, 610, 10. You see everything developing up this direction. Anoka's really growing. Everything's landlocked down south. Eden Prairie, there's nothing else they can do down that direction. People want to get away from the city. Everything's going this direction. So there's a gold mine sitting out here, and there's a lot of small communities here that can take advantage of it. Phil started up at Airport 101 here a while back. COVID unfortunately kind of put a damper on getting things, but we're hoping to start getting local city, county commissioners in and out of the airport, give some economic lessons, kind of show what the customer base is out there, what facilities and services are available through all the different airport tenants to help start seeing what the value of the airport is and how that can drive economics locally.
We're still at 5,000 feet
Still
runway?
5,000 feet.
Okay.
If that can ever get up to 6 or 6,500, that'll definitely change how we get traffic. It'll never be commercial, but that's the thing we've got to beat into the local communities, is that airport can never be commercial. It's not built for it. It doesn't have the runway, they're not stressed for that. But from a general aviation perspective, it's just a safety change. Safety is what will drive growth out there. It's the small jets, small business jets that operate that need 6,000, 6,500 for a reported takeoff. So it's the small aircraft that actually need it from a safety standpoint. Gulfstream 500s, 550, 650, they're built for 5,000 feet. And they're big. That's about the biggest thing we can get in out there. So, we're not going to see commercial, but we can see a safer airport with more traffic coming into it. That'll actually increase operations.
Remember there was a push to go to 8, I think, 6+ years ago? 6 or 8 years ago, maybe?
That's a lot.
Yeah.
For that size aircraft, 6,500 is really maximum what you need for a general aviation airport. That would get everything that the airport can handle without making major infrastructure changes to it.
Well, when we're ready to have large rooms full of angry people, we'll take on the
Oh,
topic.
I'll take that. I'll field all the daggers and all the bullets being thrown down range at that one.
Because that'll be a hot topic for
Oh,
sure.
yes.
But
Someday I hope that we'll be there, but that's the future.
well, with the right, an idea is only good as how well it is presented, right? So with the right explanation behind it and calm the fears that people would have, which would be the increase of noise in the area because of larger planes. Quite frankly, I live in Lino Lakes and we've got a lot of single prop planes that go by. When a jet comes by, it's probably a third the decibels. I mean, they just kind of just smoothly go over.
They're up and out.
Yeah.
They're getting out soon. They want to get out, and with the new bypass engines and everything else that are out there, everything is so much quieter. It's not like it was 30 years ago with Lear 35s or Lear 21s. Things were rockets. They were very loud. It is just the single engine guys now that are louder because they're lower, and with that prop, it's just got a different, harmonic sound. It changes.
Yeah, I don't even mind that because, it kind of feels like I'm home when I see a float plane go over.
They're all nice to see.
All right, any other questions? Okay, I don't think this is an action item, just update, so, thanks, Brian.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, one question.
Yes.
So name change, we talked about that a couple of years ago. What are they thinking? So they're gonna remarket this, maybe rebrand it a little bit. What do you think?
Let's working with the MAC, but everybody's still talking with flight crews that come through and everybody else that kind of coming into the area. Still calling like a Twin City executive. They think that you start calling regional, people associate regional with commercial. You don't want anything that's going to associate commercial, but calling it an executive airport, because really Minnesota, this is business airport out here. You see the folks coming in and out, it's for business. This is not a big leisure airport. there's not a lot of folks coming in here and catching a flight on a charter or something to go down to the Bahamas or do something or go to a destination area. It's people coming in for different businesses, and with all the business growth, most of the people coming off those planes for us, we've got CEOs coming in overalls that are greasy because they're going to their factory over here in Fridley to take and work in a lubricant factory. You got real estate development, trucking companies, heavy equipment operators, that type of stuff is really what's flying in and out. So, but like you make that executive moniker, puts it to the business side versus a regional type thing, which then kind of predicates commercial.
Is that a big push then for this?
That's a push for us.
quarter?
Yeah, we've been talking with the MAC and trying to figure out what the county and for, as far as ownership of the airport, where that drive really needs to come through to push that name change. If that needs to go through the county or the MAC itself, and then, how to go about that name change. I mean, it's relatively small in the grand scheme of things, but it does have a major impact. If you look at Chicago Executive, they went through the same thing when they were Palwaukee. And then Pittsburgh right now is doing the same thing. There's Pittsburgh International Airport and there's Allegheny County Airport. Nobody really understands Allegheny County. They kind of get the same thought as here. But Allegheny is now changing theirs to Pittsburgh Executive to kind of drive that general aviation traffic away from the international airport over to a GA airport, so you can kind of get rid of that traffic congestion with the smaller business jets and smaller planes and get them out of the commercial side.
Okay. Yeah, I know we talked quite a bit about that. I think it was 2 years ago.
It was 2 years ago. I introduced
Yeah.
that. I've only been here a couple months. That was my first meeting to walk into. Those
Yeah.
were the first two things I noticed about this airport that I think they could dramatically change the traffic that's coming into it and how much usage you're getting out of it.
So I don't know if, Mr. Chair, if Jim had any comments on that, or maybe Rhonda had any comments on that, going to the Twin Cities Executive for a title versus its current title for the airport.
I don't have any comments at this point. I'd like to sit down with the gentleman and spend more time understanding the future expansion area, which is a little bit what you're talking. I was having a hard time understanding it. It was breaking up, but I'd like to spend a little time visiting on that whenever I can get out of the house here and understand that long term, because I think that will be something that MAC will be looking at as well. Particularly to try and relieve some of the business traffic out of MAC, to be able to handle what we're doing if that's possible. But that's all I'd have at this point. I just need to study it more, understand it more.
Okay. Rhonda, do you have any comment?
No, thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't have any comment on that.
Okay. All right. If no one has more questions on that, then, oh, go ahead.
So just a question as to a name change. Do we know what the process would be for that? Is that something that MAC has to approve? Is that a resolution of the county board? Is it a vote of all members on the field? Do we have an idea of what would be involved in that? Or is it a legislative action?
Mr. Chair, Philip Tiedemann, if I may step in here. It would essentially come from the MAC as the owner of the airport. We would request that change, but we'd want to consider that change within our tenants, our user base, the stakeholders, everybody that's involved in the airports. We'd want some input on that. And right now, we have a long-term comp plan coming up the next couple of years, and that is something that would probably be studied at that point to get the marketing information background on that to make sure that we can support something like that.
Okay. Any other comment on this? All right, then let's move to number 5. And it says here Joe Harris, Airport Manager, but I have a feeling, Philip, that you're gonna probably do that report, right?
Yes, I'll probably step in for Joe. Joe is the director of the Relief Airports. I don't think he was able to join us today, at least I don't think remotely either. But I've got a couple highlights here for the airport that if I may. This year in September, we celebrated the 25th anniversary of the tower being open and available for the public. It is a contract tower. There's only, grand scheme of things, a handful of them in the country, and we've got one at our airport, so it makes it a little unique operation. But we're happy to announce that 25 years owning and operating that tower, and it's run smoothly so far. And I believe all of that has been contracted with Midwest Air Traffic Control Services. So I anticipate that continuing in the future. Also this year, last year we had to cancel our airport barbecue, but we had it this year. Good to see all the tenants come back out for something like that. And we also recognized Neil Odie, the tower manager with Midwest ATC. He had recently retired. So we celebrated not only that, but recognized him for all his service that he's done with the airport. We also recognized Barbara Mack, a longtime flight examiner and check pilot for the FAA, a tenant on the airport. And she was nominated recently by us and others for the Minnesota Aviation Hall of Fame. And I think that those nominees who's inducted will come out, I believe, later this month or early next. So we're happy to have her on our airport, and she's a huge contribution to not only flight training, but just the tenant base and support of the airports and our endeavors. So we're happy to have her on the field. With Neil's retirement, we were looking for someone else, and Midwest ATC brought in someone from with internal. His name is Chris Canfield. He was out on the East Coast, but long time at Eau Claire, so it's kind of like coming home for him. And he's been with the tower now about a month inside here. So we're happy to have him, and he's been, I think, checked out on every position and trains for the location, so he's up to speed on everything now. So smooth sailing in the future for that. Hopefully he'll be here the 20 plus years that the previous manager was.
Okay.
We just a couple more items. This past year, we had some new hangar developments. We were able to split, one of the tenants split a lot and sold it to somebody else. So we have a brand new hangar on the field, on a new lot, so to speak. We have plans of something similar in 2 spots coming this next year. So there is some development and growth happening at the airport. For the most part, we are kind of landlocked, or all the lots are controlled. But some of those tenants are getting creative with what they're doing, renovating their hangars, remodeling, and opening up some lot space for other tenants. So getting a few more tenants out there probably next year about this time. And then also projects that we did as far as MAC goes, we did some hangar and building improvements from our own facilities. And the big noticeable one is taxi lane reconstruction. The last few years, we've been doing progressive improvements to our pavements out there, and this was a continuation of that. Kind of finished the east side taxi lane rehab projects. So now we'll take a couple of years off for pavements while we focus on some lighting improvements and some more building improvements next year.
Mr. Chair. Philip, is there still a lot of room left for more hangars, like private hangars? Is there more room on the airport side?
We have room on the north side with the Atlantic location to expand to hangar spots. And I believe there's future growth out on the other side of Xylite, but that would take some rerouting of a road, clearing trees, things like that. But right now, we're pretty much at capacity for hangars with what we have available right now. But there is some growth out there.
How many hangars do you have now, roughly?
Almost 500.
Really?
Oh, wow.
Okay.
It's more than I thought.
That's more than I thought.
So as far as pure acreage and hangars within the whole MAC system, we have probably the most of both those categories. There's a lot of land out there and a lot of hangars.
How many of them are privately owned? Would you make a guess?
98%.
98% of them?
There's a few T hangars that are essentially a commercial operation, but it's rented out to just single engine aircraft for the most part.
And there was mention in the minutes from last year that there were some projects, but because of COVID, they were pushed back and it kind of sounds like you were able to get to those, so.
We were able to get to a couple of them. For the most part, the whole MAC reliever system, we pushed some of those projects back. We were able to continue anything that had state and federal funding with them, but some of our own projects were either reduced or pushed back as well. But we got to some of the more pressing ones. we're looking to continue that next year.
Good. I would imagine with the change of ownership, will there then be other projects that are going to be forthcoming that will be recommended?
Ownership of Atlantic or?
Yeah. Does that have anything to do?
On our end, there could be, I mean, right now, 6 months ago, I was at 61% strength on my hangar capacity. I'm at 110% today, and I've got 6 serious lookers right now. I can still fit a couple more in there, take me up to about 120% capacity.
Wow.
So
How do
there's
you
a
do
lot of
that?
requests right now for hangar.
How do you do that? How do you go over 100?
Everything's figured on a square, length times width for the size of the aircraft, but the aircraft aren't squares. So it's like jigsaw puzzle. You rent a square, but you fit them in. So you finagle a little bit more than what you got. And with the idea being that people are going to be out on the road, so when people are out on the road, that's when you get your transients in and you get people overnight then for additional revenue.
Okay.
So it's a good spot to be in right now. I'm actually looking for more hangar space and trying to figure that out. If I can find available hangar on the airport that comes up for sale, or from company side on Atlantic, if we can get them to develop and put some money into building another hangar.
Okay, any other questions here?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
there's I think it might be Michelle Wolf that raised her hand.
Oh, okay, thanks for letting me know that. Michelle, do you have a question?
Yes, thanks. I just wanted to kind of add on to the line of discussion. There was a capital plan that came out from MAC, I think 2 weeks ago maybe. And I did notice, and we were taking a looked like a proposal to realign a road and do another line of hangars. But I don't remember the timing around that or the certainty around that.
Yes, the chair and commissioners, if I may, that I believe is all going to be considered in our long-term comp plan when we evaluate that. And that's probably a year, most likely 2 years out before we get to that evaluation. So it'll be after that study comes out that we get to an analysis on when we want to expand that out.
Okay, thank you.
And now, Mr. Chair, that was the Xylite area, right?
I believe it is.
Okay.
I think that's what she's referring to.
Is that the one you were thinking of, Michelle, was along Xylite there to the east of the airport?
Yes,
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Perfect.
Okay. Questions? Commissioner Look, do you have any? You usually have something to say.
Just a comment, I guess I think we still have an arrangement with Atlantic for fuel sales and that sort of thing. And I think it would be, a position we should probably strongly consider, and I don't know if it's gonna be a work session topic or something like that, but, to go with a 300% increase in fuel sales, obviously as an increase in percentage of money that's, then given to Anoka County, which helps us then reimburse, our expenses out there. So I think we probably want to discuss that at a county board level to see if that's going to be, something we want to get behind. I'm assuming a resolution of some sort in support of a name change, if that's going to help contribute to the growth. And then forward that off to the powers to be that would make that decision. But again, I'm not sure, Mr. Chair, if you're aware of that previous arrangement that was made. And I believe, Rhonda, it's still intact with the purchase from Lynx to Atlantic. But I think if that arrangement is still intact, that's probably something we'd want to strongly consider for reimbursement of investment.
Mr. Chair, thank you. I was not aware of the change in ownership, but I would assume that should continue to be in place with that transition between owners as it was previously.
So our goals may be parallel to what Atlantic's are in terms of growing it. And I think the runway expansion is a much bigger topic and, as you indicated, a lot more political involvement in that one. But a name change, I think, as long as across the country, if that's what's happening and it's kind of what people's expectations are as far as finding a refueling depot, if you will, that may be something that's easier to get behind and try and help push. So, but again, that may be something we want to, Rhonda, maybe get on a work session.
Well, I think write some kind of resolution in support and then sending that off to MAC, right? Because they're the decider on name change. So Brian, I guess just, think about what help you might need from us along the way.
Appreciate it. Sir.
Any other questions, comments, concerns, ideas? Okay. Well, next on the agenda here is other. And I guess if there's other that we have, we'll discuss that now.
Nothing here, Mr. Chair.
All right, well then I guess we go to adjourn. Need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Look. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Joe. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, those opposed, and that motion carries. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.